Welcome to Tech Talent Today, where IT leaders share their tough challenges, creative solutions, and latest insights. You'll discover fresh ideas and inspiration here with your host, IT staffing veteran and president of Claremont Technologies, Jodi Mayer. And now, here's Jodi.
Today on Tech Talent Today, I'm joined by Sashi Arumugam. Sashi is a retail and supply chain technology leader who spent more than 2 decades driving large-scale transformation, including leading a mission-critical warehouse and supply chain initiatives at a billion-dollar fashion retail brand. What I appreciate about his perspective is that he focuses less on tools and more on business outcomes. In this conversation, we talk about what it actually takes to scale in retail, from operational pressures and automation to leadership, decision-making, and having the right people in place. Welcome, Sashi. Thanks so much for being here.
Jodi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful. So before we get into our bigger discussion, can you share a little bit about your background and how you ended up working in retail, supply chain, and technology?
Sure. First I can tell you that is not planned. I started, from a humble background, and I'm the first in my family to actually go to a college and also to become an engineer. That tenacity and the curiosity, that's the tone, or I would say that's what shaped me. And based on that, I actually started as an RPG developer, creating reports for a manufacturing company. That's where I started in terms of development. So it's kind of a pure accident, I would say. And then I got an opportunity to work in Dubai for a big suppliers of automobile spare parts. So it's a big experience for me because I have to join that kind of a company within very short period of time. I didn't have much experience. And I also have to work with different people from different parts of the world. Like, it's a Japanese company. They are very organized. So I have to work with the Japanese people, as well as the warehouse is full of Philippines. They are very different to work with. So that's where I learned how do you build the relationship, how do you get the understanding of what the business needs are, and then try to help them. Again, if I think about it, I'm the only one there to support all the full WMS system. And with that experience, I was able to get into a company called Manhattan Associates. They are the world number one in warehouse management systems. That's where I learned all the tricks and trades. I've been fortunate to work for the company, and I've been in 3 different teams: professional services team, product development team, as well as customer services team. All 3 involve different kind of a goal. And I was fortunate again to work for big companies through Manhattan, like Nordstrom, REA. And also I've been able to visit Chile, beautiful country. For DNS, it's a Walmart, like in US, it's a big Walmart in Chile. So again, that learning shaped me who I am today and what I wanted to do in my life also. Fast forward, based on that experience, I was able to support retail companies. So that's predominantly how I ended up in retail.
Right. It's interesting that you started as a developer, but that you were focusing on the relationships with people and not necessarily the technology. I find that interesting because it's almost like you see yourself more like a business person who understands technology and not a technologist. So how does that influence the decisions you're going to make?
Absolutely. If you think about this, technology is just a tool to enable the business. And you have to understand what actually helps drives the business. So technology is one piece. You have people. They are the fundamental glue that helps drive the business. If you have the right talent with the right mindset and attitude, and you give them the technology, you will end up in a big huge space. So that's why you have to have the people who are critical in terms of helping the companies to drive the revenue as well as protect the margin, which is very important in terms of retail, as well as if you think about it, like you have to have that kind of a rapport and a camaraderie so that every single project will be a successful project. Without people, you cannot do that.
Right. I think sometimes people get lost in the technology, like the shiny object, and it's so exciting what it could do. Like I even find in recruiting, right? AI is so prevalent, and we just get sucked into all the things we could do. And you have to take a step back and say, like, right, what's the problem you're trying to solve? Not just where does this technology fit in? Um, So when you were when you see retail companies investing in technology and then feeling like underwhelmed by the results, like what do you think the issue is? What is missing?
Fundamentally, again, it's all about not creating what success means when you want to implement the project. You can't be like too vague. You have to define when you complete this project what exactly the success will be. For example, does it increase the revenue by 10 to 15%, or is it going to reduce the cost by, let's say, 100,000, or it going to improve the labor productivity for x number of hours? So you have to be very clear on the output or the success measured that the project will be measured. That's one critical aspect of it. And then the second piece is, most of the time you already will have some kind of a legacy systems and you are bringing in some new tools, AI. So it's like a Ferrari engine with the old car. So how do you make both of them work together? You have to always think about the holistic picture, the full picture, end to end, right? So if you don't think about those aspects, then saw a lot of projects didn't go well because of that.
Right. So they did not take in consideration that they had to um, put the new technology and integrate it with the old technology. That was one of the issues.
Absolutely. You have to think about the whole game, because it's not like one single piece of application. You have to make sure the order to cash flow or procure to pay flow, how it is going to work, synchronizing in a way that it's not going to break something.
Right. Right. And I did love how you say, like, keeping your eye on the success metrics. So you could measure, like, if you've hit the mark. And I think that would probably help people not feel underwhelmed by what they're doing, maybe even to just adjust their direction. Um, Now, I understand, like, for retail, especially like growth stage companies, like timing and margin pressure are like loom large. So, from your perspective, what are the leaders struggling with like the most right now?
See, the Amazon has set a different standard.
Yes.
From a consumer standpoint, they don't care. They want their products within the time they expect and how they expect. So for growth stage companies, they don't have that kind of a power, financial power, or the infrastructure power to support that. One of the challenges I do see is how they can support the same level of customer experience what a customer or consumer gets from Amazon. How do you do that? That's one of the biggest challenges. And also, growth stage companies doesn't have the scale or the volume to get big discounts in terms of carriers, shipping FedEx carriers, or shipping lines. So it's pretty much erodes the profit margin. And thirdly, the returns. In our world, 20% of the products that are sold is getting returned, which is a huge profit margin erosion is in place, right? So those are the three things I see growth retailers are struggling thinking about it. How do you solve that problem?
Right. Yes, Amazon, even for other very large competitors, makes it difficult to keep up with them. I guess what is an area that you see that like a growing company like can compete there? Like what's something they can do?
It's all about understanding the customer very well so that you can help them with technology without make that product to be written, meaning understand the voice of the customer, find out from the social media what they talk about, what is the pain point, so that when you sell the product or services the first time, they will enjoy it because it's going to fit them. It will not create additional returns.
Right. So the whole thing is to try to keep the returns as low as possible.
Absolutely, that is one big area of concern, and it's not only about profit margin. It's all about also about your sustainability issues, right? You are sending packaging and all those things. So it's always better to understand the customer. How do you do that? By leveraging technology, create loyalty programs. First data in it's predominantly is very important, I would say, to understand them, right? So that you can serve them with what they need.
Right. And I could see how it might be very difficult, like for like retail items like clothing that people have to try on. And I don't know, is there a standard size? So I can see that's why it's a difficult thing. Do you think that there's been like a technology that's been applied to that problem?
Absolutely. I am doing some market research also. There are a lot of startups who is trying to solve that problem, where they are trying to understand the voice of customer from social media, and especially they will listen to what the customers talk about this product. For example, if it is a shirt or t-shirt you are talking about, the fit, what customer says, let's say, hey, this M is not fitting me. So based on that information, you will be able to suggest before on hand itself, look, this is not fit for M, can you try a L? So that way you can avoid that problem.
Right. Yeah, it's so interesting. And I think also labor is a challenge in like warehouses and fulfillment. And I know automation is a big topic. So like how do you see like where customers like the clients are doing it right and doing it wrong with automation?
Automation plays a key important role, not only for the productivity standpoint, but if you think about this in warehouse, nowadays getting laborers for doing picking, packing is very hard. Even if you find somebody, the attrition rate is too high. So if you bring in someone, it's they cannot start day one. They need training. They have to understand what they need to do so that they do their job correctly. With all these challenges, automation plays a huge role in supporting it. We are not into the era of dark warehouses, which we call it as lights off warehouses, where there is no human involved. We are not in that era yet. We have to work with the humans, and there are a lot of good automation that has been in the market which helps them. For example, you have goods to person system, where it predominantly avoids a particular picker to walk miles a day. It's a huge toll on their body. And there are arms, robotic arms, that can pick the cartons out of the container and then send it into the warehouse. So this way, that particular labor doesn't need to lift heavy volumes or heavy weights, right? So those are the things automation can help to support the problem with the labor, also to make sure you are able to deliver your products to your customers at the right time, at the right place.
So of course, how could we have a discussion without bringing up AI? Because AI is part of every discussion. So like what are you seeing that's delivering value today and what is still aspirational?
That's a great question. I recently attended NRF also. Every single vendor had word AI in them. AI, augmented AI.
Right.
So it's a lot of noise. So that's why you have to put your business hat on, right? Find out what exactly the business needs rather than what AI can deliver. Find a problem that you have and then see if that problem can be solved by AI. Then bring in the technology. I think that's what I would say AI needs to be used. Secondly, I do see there are a lot of good things happening with AI, but there are a lot of things that still an aspiration. Some of the things I do see are good for your content creation and also for your product description creation with the generative AI that is SEO optimized, which is awesome. And there are other things that still need a lot of work. For example, agentic AI. Agentic AI, yes, it is delivering value, but the problem is the trust and the security. How do you trust? How do you put the guardrails so that the action can be done, but there is a sense of security?
Right, right, because there's so much right hype around it, but you just wonder like where is it really being implemented?
And also, I would add the ROI is the biggest piece of AI. Yes, AI can deliver things. You can do some pilots. MIT recent study says 95% of the project failed. It's not because of AI failed. It's because there is no ROI actually delivered out of that AI initiative. So there is a key, distinction. Because if you think about this, AI needs a lot of compute power. And once you start using that AI functionality running in cloud, you will get bills that doesn't make sense when you actually use that.
Right. It also brings back to what you said in the beginning with the success metrics, right? Are, how do we know if this is successful? Is it solving our problem? Is it making things better? So, yeah, I think it's fascinating with that. Um, so, in a growth stage retail company that's scaling and feeling stretched, um, and if they asked you, what would we need to do differently and who would we need around the table to make this work? How would you respond to them?
That's a great question. If I think about this, I always say we have three pillars: people, process, and technology. Technology is easy. So in this case, if you think about a growth stage company, they are kind of stretched because a person can work on multiple things. The same person will take on some marketing related activities, some supply chain related activities, some finance related activities. When you want to scale, you have to make sure that you have the right people with the right skill set so that they can do the job. It's all about multiplier effect. You have to create a team in such a way that they can do their job without you being needed for every single thing. That's how you scale in terms of people. In terms of process, you need to fundamentally create standard processes so that it will be a guiding principle for your team, for your people, so that they can use that process to deliver the results. Again, it will not slow down because they have a set processes in the policies that they can rely on and they can act on. It's kind of giving autonomy and empowerment. This way, your people will have a sense of feeling that they achieved, they contributed. Those are very important things. And third piece is technology. So technology, when you implement any technology, you have to think about the holistic picture, not only a particular piece of application. Okay, this is a demand management, a demand planning system, or the warehouse management system, or order management system. You have to always think about end to end. Okay, if I bring in this particular piece of technology, how well it can integrate, how well it can expose. Because we are in a different world right now. Before, IT is a back office kind of a place where you just make sure that your transactions are getting posted, you create your financial statements. Now technology is a driver to generate revenue. So which means the competitive edge will be when technology supports integration with all these new systems, how quickly, how efficiently. that will make or break your business.
Right. Just to go back to the people piece. So when you're looking for people to be on your team, like what is some of the characteristics that you look for? And like how heavily does the tech piece weigh when you're looking at people?
So I would say in different levels. So you can hire a person they finished out of college as a fresher, or you had an experience. So different people has different set of skill sets needed. For a fresher or who comes out of college, I always look for the attitude and the curiosity. It's very, very important because you have to try to learn the business so that you will be able to use technology to help the business. So that's where I would focus on if it is a fresher out of college. If it is an experienced person, I would always think about how that person, he or she, thinks in terms of taking a decision. And also, I would see what kind of business knowledge they have. Again, for me, it's always about understanding the business is very, very important. And then you can able to provide solutions with the technology.
And it's interesting because I remember you mentioned that in the beginning of your career, when you were a developer, you said the first thing you did was learn the business. So that is great advice to people entering the market and also for people who are experienced but looking to get into a different industry, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to add value. The only way you can add value is either you bring in revenue or reduce cost or mitigate the risk. So without knowing the business, how the business model, how it works, what is the contribution margin, how you can reduce the cost in terms of using multiple carriers, how do you increase your customer experience, right? So those are the key things you have to understand. Then you will be able to provide a solution.
Right. I love that on so many levels. And that's also something somebody can use when they're thinking about writing their resume, right?
Exactly, exactly. Your resume should be results focused, outcome focused, rather than you do what you do, but so what is the biggest question you have to answer.
I totally agree with that. So, I guess looking back at what you've seen, like work and not work, like what do you think leaders need to stop doing or do less of as they scale?
That's again a phenomenal question because the mindset needs to be changed. A growth company mindset and a scale the company who wants to scale, it's totally different, different engine. The leaders first, they are very used to do their job, right? When I say do their job, they wanted to do it because they know what to do. When you want to scale, you have to give that to your team, make them to do that work, coach them, and then make sure that they can able to do that job without you. That's the multiplier effect. That's how you scale. So I see a lot of leaders are not doing that. They are still in the weeds because they wanted to get that thing completed. So if you do that, you will not be able to scale.
Right. That is great advice. And I could see, right, how leaders get in the weeds in a growing company, right? Because they don't have as many people on their team. So that is excellent advice. And it really enforces that like scaling isn't about more tools, like it's about clarity and execution and the people driving it.
Exactly. I mean, if the company who wants to scale, they have to have the solid systems in place. That's the key. How do you build that system? You have to build the system. You have to build the capacity. Meaning, in terms of people, are they able to do their job without somebody's kind of handholding or micromanaging? That's one aspect of it. And do you have the technology that can scale with your growth? That's very, very important. That's why when you want to do the implementation, you have to think broadly, think about every single function, how this technology will impact finance, how this technology will impact the floor labors, how this technology will impact your operation, marketing. So you have to think holistically and then try to come up with a solution.
I think that is great advice to end on. And I appreciate you coming to speak with me today, and thanks very much, Sashi.
Thank you, Jodi. It's a pleasure. And, I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks for listening to Tech Talent Today, brought to you by Clearmont Technologies IT Staffing and Search. You can find out more at clearmonttech.com. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and share. See you next time.